All right, Coach. Talk about University of Cincinnati. How's practice going, first of all?
Well, it's new to start practice so early, and my biggest concern is our guys, especially our veteran guys, are trained to play really hard, and you got to back them down a little bit. It's too early to be killing each other out there. So I've had a few back down days where we just worked on offense, shooting, passing, fundamentals. Didn't let them touch each other. But maybe from what I'm hearing about these rules, nobody's going to be able to touch each other anyway. But it's been fun. It's good. It's a great time of year to be a coach because you get to be around your players. Some two-a-day practices, extra shooting, but you don't have the stress of the game, and you can still eat. You can still digest your food as a coach. But I got some freshmen that really brought some life to our program, and some younger guys that have been in our program ready to step up. They're probably the best leader in the country, in Sean Kilpatrick. So it's just been fun, and looking forward to getting back home, getting back at it.
Talk about that. You get the early start period, for the workouts. Now you don't have to stress that first week or the first 2 weeks where you got to throw it all in, and then in the second week, you got to back away, and then you say, oh, they're catching it a little bit quicker. Let's just drop all of this on them, and everything. Out of the leaders that's still outside of the young man you brought with you today, who's stepping up and bringing the newcomers in and says, this is how we're going to get things done, pay attention to what coach is saying, and and moving forward?
Yeah, I think the advantage of having continuity, being in my 8th year, and having some veterans, whether it's Sean Kilpatrick, Justin Jackson, Titus Rubles, those guys set the tone. The advantage for a coach of veteran players, people don't really understand. They think it's just coach talk. When your young guys can look and you sit there and say, well, just watch him practice. That's how hard you got to practice. You may not have this talent, but you got to have this intensity. That's the first thing. You have to have that, or you're not going to win, because everybody plays hard. Then you got to get down to execution. But I think that's with the early practice time here. Two things that's a positive. You have younger players. There's more of an adjustment period. I think even for the older guys, 2 days a week off versus one. It just gives those guys' body a chance to recover. I think it was counterproductive to start late and have to just cram everybody in and cram everything in. You got to learn how to play hard. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to, and you're doing too much, and it's putting too much pressure on guys' bodies. In this day and age, you got guys training year round. It's good to make sure you get them guys some rest, because you want to be playing in late March, not March, late March.
That's true. Around April, first weekend in April, everybody looks forward to that. And Cincinnati is one of those programs and all that's got a tradition of going to the tournament, NC2A, not that other stuff. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, then you have to keep, as a coach, you got to be conscious of that. And one thing I learned from Coach Patino when I worked with him 11 years ago, his pro days. Sometimes you just got to take your best player and throw him out of practice in a good way, and put him on the bike. And they don't like it, but say you need to just get on the bike. He might have went an hour, and that's enough for him, because you're going to be relying on a guy 30 minutes a night to get you 20 points a game. And he doesn't need to leave his game in practice in October. He doesn't need to lose his legs come January 1st. He needs to be hitting his stride. So it's just a lot of things I think that you have to tinker with, especially with your veteran players, because they maybe not have the fresh legs they had when they were 18.
Conference is in transition. The Big East was pretty much the upper Midwest, the Northeast. Now the American is stretched all the way across from Texas, upper Midwest, and back to the Mid-East, to the Northeast. Talk about the expansion of the conference and what it will mean, even though it's a small amount of teams, but having a home-and-home situation.
Well, definitely having this year, you're going to have a true champion for the regular season, because you're a balanced schedule, everybody playing 2 times. The good thing about the dynamics, I think, the geographics of our conference, you have great cities: Dallas, Houston, Orlando, Tampa. Then Philadelphia is added now, Cincinnati, Memphis, and Louisville. So you have a good mix of places to visit for your fans that want to follow you. You can always find a good restaurant. But being in the major media markets is big for your exposure. Being in Memphis, the media day is great. It's a great basketball town, great tradition. We're excited to get our rivalry back going with Memphis, Cincinnati. That is, we lost it when we left Conference USA for the Big East. So it's different than the old Big East. But I think one thing in college basketball and college football, you better be ready for change. Even the old days of the Big Ten has now got way more than 10 teams. So you just got to embrace change in college athletics and make the best of it. And it's all about the players at the end of the day anyway.
Two last things. One, talk about the young man that came with you today. What he brings and what he means to this program.
I'm fortunate that for myself that Sean redshirted his freshman year, so I got him back for his 4th season playing. He's got great maturity. It's very hard to pinpoint what makes kids play hard, what makes kids listen. But at the end of the day, it's just really a character thing, and it's a luxury for a coach when you have your best player is your hardest worker and your most coachable guy with the best attitude. It's a rarity, and it makes it easy for you to point to your young guys and say, hey, you might not be as good as him, but at least act like him. But I think he's really developed his game more from just a scorer to now he's the best defender on the World University team this summer, playing with Team USA. So he's really rounding out his game. Hopefully this year he's able to get to the foul line more. And he's less than 600 points away from being the only player ever in Cincinnati to score 2,000 points other than the great Oscar Robertson. So he's sitting on having a real historical career. So I just got to make sure I don't mess him up. I got to keep him healthy.
Coach, you made me tear up there a little bit talking about the Big O.
Yes,
he set, as far as I'm concerned, he set the standard for Cincinnati, and we're all grateful that they at least have watched him during his playing days and all. Is there anything else that you can think of that I hadn't asked about Cincinnati basketball at this moment?
Not really. You got it all in.
I tried, Coach. I tried, Coach. Thanks for your time. And this is just another college sports report here in Memphis, Tennessee at the American Men's Basketball Media Days.